Oronzo, to start, could you briefly introduce the ACSOC project and its main vision for enhancing cybersecurity operations across Europe?
Good morning. Yes, the goal of the ACSOC project is to support SOC and CERT operation, improving the way cybersecurity operation is managed using powerful European technology-powered tools, among which Lucy for threat intelligence and Sofia per anomaly detection. The goal is to introduce new technology, mainly AI-based, and allowing SOC and CERT to cooperating among them.
Great. So what makes ACSOC's approach, and particularly the evolution of tools like Lucy and Sofia, relevant cybersecurity initiative?
The innovative approach of ACSOC is connected to the use of AI tools to empower cybersecurity ability of SOC and CERTs, using tools like Lucy for threat intelligence and Sofia for anomaly detection. All of these technology are genuine European technologies, which are even more empowered using the cooperation ability of the federated machine learning, which allows each entity to keep their own private information, even though allowing cooperation among them using this innovative AI-based federated machine learning.
Great. And in order to move to the actual event, can you please let us know why was it important for ACSOC to be represented at the Bucharest Cybersecurity Conference, and what key messages did you want to share with the community?
The reason why ACSOC was presented to the Bucharest Conference is the possibility to present to the community of stakeholders involving both EU projects and major actors in this field, like national cybersecurity entities, what we are developing and the way we can provide advanced tool to make this, to support the job. And also to check the choices, the technical and organizational choices we are making to verify they are in line with the other project similar approaches, and to share ideas with the other major actors in this field. Then soliciting dissemination and cooperation with other projects and stakeholders.
Great. So looking ahead, how do you think that can cybersecurity stakeholders, especially SMEs and public authorities, get involved or benefit from ACSOC's results?
We think that cybersecurity actors, especially small and medium enterprise and public authority, can benefit from ACSOC, mostly because these provided services are provided as software as a service. Then it is easy and with low economic impact to adopt these tools, and so that the stakeholders can benefit from services connected to threat intelligence and integrate them in their cybersecurity management. All of the provided technologies are ready to use and then can be deployed by small and medium enterprise, public authority, and in general, all the customers, because they are ready to use.
Great. I think this is really clear for all SMEs and public authorities. ACSOC also focuses on aligning with the NIS2 directive and future EU policies, such as the Cyber Resilience Act. How does end users of the consortium contribute to ensuring that policy and technology evolve together?
End users of ACSOC, which are mainly DNSC and Almaviva with their Security Operations Center services, use provided tools like Lucy and Sofia, which are on their own perfectly in line with EU directives, and in particular with the NIS2 and the Cyber Resiliency Act. Then their ability to test these tools in real environment and align their policy and procedure to comply with the EU directives are crucial. A concrete example of this is the ability to manage this cybersecurity supply chain required by these two directives using Lucy, and the ability to handle vulnerabilities complying with Cyber Resiliency Act.
Okay, Sebastian, something from DNSC side? Would you have something to add?
Yes, consortium and end users, including national cybersecurity authorities like ours, SOCs and other CERTs, are at the core of ensuring that policy and technology advance hand in hand. Because naturally, policy and regulation, they tend to follow technological developments. And of course, legislation and new legislation must undergo consultation, coordination, and political negotiation before adoption. Yet, projects like ACSOC help bridge this inevitable time gap by creating structured mechanisms for dialogue between practitioners, innovators, and policymakers. And as Berlen just said, end users in ACSOC, they can contribute from operational validation, so basically testing those emerging tools and methodologies to see if they actually work in practice. And also by doing these tests, they offer direct evidence to the European policy makers about the technical feasibility, about the interoperability, and of course about the security implications of the new solutions. And also by sharing the experiences of the end users and challenges, we inform EU and national legislators on how those frameworks can be improved to better support operational collaboration across borders. And also, I think that the end users can promote a co-evolutionary model, because the involvement of the end users, for example, ensures that innovation is not detached from governance, and new technologies, they evolve within the boundaries of the EU values, data protection principles, EU sovereignty principles, and of course, strategic autonomy. And to give you some insights from the Bucharest Cybersecurity Conference 2025 that took place at the beginning of October, the synergy between technology and policymakers was particularly visible, because the conference was served as a platform for EU projects like ACSOC, partners, and end users to showcase the early results, to exchange with the policymakers, national and EU policymakers, and discuss how EU initiatives like the CRA, the Cyber Resilience Act, or the NIS2, or future any cybersecurity EU legislation could move from impact, from concept on the paper, to make an actual impact. And in essence, through combined ecosystem of the ACSOC and the DNSC ecosystem, but also the BCC 2025, Europe can demonstrate that policy and technology can evolve together.
Great. Thank you both for that. So, Sebastian, DNSC has a dual role, both as organizer of the BCC and as a partner in ACSOC. How do these two roles connect and reinforce each other?
From a Romanian and European perspective, the dual role of the Directorate, on one hand, co-organizing the Bucharest Cybersecurity 2025 together with the Romanian National Coordination Center, the NCCRO, and together with National Association for Information System Security, ANSI, but also in collaboration with the EU Agency for Cybersecurity, ENISA, and the European Cybersecurity Competence Center, ECCC. And on the other hand, participating as a partner in ACSOC, we think it creates a mutually reinforcing dynamic. As an organizer and co-organizer of the BCC, we have a platform to convene key stakeholders from cybersecurity operations, from different national authorities, from industry, academia, and international partners. So basically, we invite them to sit together and to discuss about pressing issues. And of course, this gives the Directorate the visibility and a convening power in the ecosystem, which helps in shaping different national agendas, raising awareness, but also creating and building trust among experts. As a partner in ACSOC, we are embedded in concrete operational EU-funded initiatives because working with different SOCs, CERTs, and CSIRTs on threat intelligence sharing, federated machine learning, and standards for collaboration, it's really important. And in practice, the synergies work like this. The Directorate brings different insights from the event side, for example, from Bucharest Cybersecurity, into ACSOC, for example, what topics are emerging in the community, what practitioners are calling for, what EU legislators are thinking about. And conversely, the work in ACSOC enriches the content and legitimacy of the conference, like bringing cutting-edge EU projects, best practices, concrete tools, which they had a separate dedicated day to present those projects within the conference. This dual involvement and dual role strengthens the Directorate and any national CERT credibility, both domestically and internationally, because we can show leadership by running and organizing a major cybersecurity conference, internationally by participating in a collaborative EU project, and in turn, the BCC 2025 becomes a showcase to show the ACSOC results and ambitions, helping with dissemination, uptake, and stakeholder engagement. At the strategic level, the fact that the National Cybersecurity Authority is both convening and participating signals that event organizing is not just academic, but also rooted in operational relevance and real-world European cooperation. Because when you face a major cyber attack, you need to know whom to call to help you and to cooperate with you to minimize the risks and also to minimize the impact. Because as you all know, cybersecurity does not know any borders. And in short, the roles are complementary in reinforcing. The conference amplifies the EU project, and the project deepens the conference substance and networks.
Great. And now from your national perspective, why is a European initiative like ACSOC important for strengthening cooperation between SOCs and national authorities?
From a national perspective, and by extension to any other EU member state, several arguments can underline the importance of EU initiatives such as ACSOC. Cyber threats, as I just mentioned, are inherently transnational. Attacks and incident flows cross borders, and cyber criminals, they exploit jurisdictional gaps like the ones that were under NIS 1 directive. And resilience depends on cooperation among EU member states. And an EU initiative helps to align capabilities, to share intelligence, and of course, coordinate responses. National authorities from EU member states, like the Directorate, often interact with multiple national or European SOCs, CERTs, and CSIRTs, but also with private sector providers, with regulated entities. And a dedicated framework, such the one that ACSOC develops, helps to create common ground. It's all about common taxonomy to understand, to have the same definition for a cyber attack. It's about also having shared tools to be used, interoperable practices, and of course, federated data sharing and common guidelines, which ACSOC explicitly includes and develops. But also, let's not forget about smaller EU member states, because it builds cyber capacity for them, or let's say less resourced organizations, because they also benefit from being part of the broader European ecosystem. We know that different EU cybersecurity centers, they face different budgetary cuts and also employee situation, because it's very difficult to attract cybersecurity talent. But through the ACSOC work, for example, as I just mentioned, the federated machine learning, the advanced SOC-CERT collaboration, there is a technology and skills uplift. But also the project, it strengthens the link between national authorities and operational SOCs. By being part of a joint project, national authorities like the Directorate, we gain operational insights. SOCs receive governance, alignment, and trust channels. Domestic legislation, for example, the one that was developed under the NIS2 directive, increasingly emphasizes on cross-border cooperation, and ACSOC helps to implement that. But also, such projects, they accelerate standardization and best practices dissemination, because such EU-wide initiatives, they help avoid duplication, but also promote harmonized incident response playbooks and encourage smaller and national SOCs to adopt best practices which were already tested within the EU member states. Finally, from a geopolitical and strategic autonomy viewpoint, an EU-wide SOC cooperation framework helps the EU in general to strengthen its cyber resilience as a bloc, rather than purely at the national level in Romania or in other EU member states. Thus, we think that the ACSOC acts as a catalyst for bridging the gap between operational SOCs work and national strategic oversight, enabling both to ramp up together in a cooperative EU-wide context.
Great. Thank you. Just in order to move forward, would you like to tell me what kind of feedback or interest did ACSOC receive from the cybersecurity community during BCC 2025?
Yes, of course. While the specific quantitative metrics may still be under compilation because the conference was just organized 1 month ago, the main advantage point we observed several encouraging signals of interest and feedback from for ACSOC. The ACSOC discussions around BCC 2025 attracted a steady stream of practitioners from SOCs, CERTs, and private sector incident response teams, many of whom asked detailed questions about the project's tools that Berlen just mentioned, like the advanced version of Lucy and Sofia and the federated machine learning platform, and how they might pilot them within their own organizations. Also, several national and regional SOCs, they commented favorably on the idea of a federated machine learning framework across multiple SOCs, noting that it could help them to detect threats they currently cannot see in isolation. And this aligns perfectly with one of the main ACSOC's objectives. On the other hand, some attendees from regulatory and governmental bodies expressed that ACSOC's cooperation guidelines and sharing framework are exactly the type of initiative needed to operationalize policy mandates like the ones from NIS2 or from the Future Cyber Resilience Act in practice, to bring all those obligations in practice. But one recurring theme that I was listening during the side events, during the discussions, was the desire of those stakeholders for plug-and-play tools and frameworks. Like SOC said, they like the idea that ACSOC intends to validate solutions in real context and emphasize usability. And this is another important project and objective of the ACSOC project. But also, let's not forget the SMEs, smaller organizations or other member states that are still not part from the European Union. They all asked whether ACSOC results can help them improve cyber resilience without requiring huge internal SOC infrastructures. And this project's orientation to enable cooperation and sharing is seen positively by the main stakeholders. And also, from a dissemination and networking perspective, we think that the ACSOCs present at the BCC 2025 raised a lot of awareness, not only for the EU legislators, but also for the industry representatives and academia, because many conference attendees said, we didn't know about ACSOC, and after the session visited and discussed with ACSOC representatives, and that indicates that the conference platform is also helping the project outreach. In summary, we consider that the feedback has been very positive around BCC 2025. There was a huge interest from operational SOCs, regulatory bodies, and other smaller organizations alike, especially around the federated machine learning and intelligence sharing frameworks and usability of the proposed solutions. And some expressed also the desire for pilot opportunities or closer engagement, which is a promising sign for ACSOC next phases and objectives.
Beautiful. And last but not least, what do you see as the main impact ACSOC can have on Europe's cybersecurity ecosystem in the coming years?
In our opinion, and also to share a little bit of my personal opinion, I think that ACSOC has the potential to generate several meaningful impacts across Europe's cybersecurity ecosystem and legislation. I think that ACSOC could bring enhanced cross-border threat detection and response because, let's say, by enabling SOCs, CERTs, and CSIRTs to share intelligence in a more easy way, to use federated machine learning models and operate on common frameworks, I think that ACSOC can raise the visibility of threats all across Europe, because this could mean earlier detection of cyber threats, more coordinated responses, and of course, reduce latency in handling incidents. But also, another important benefit of ACSOC is the standardization of cooperation frameworks and incident response practices. Because at the moment, we are still debating, let's say, the dual role of AI in launching and protecting us from in front of cyber attacks. And ACSOC aimed to establish some guidelines for cooperation. And of course, this is one of its main core objectives, means that some organizations will have a stronger baseline of understanding, interoperability, and also reducing fragmentation in how SOCs and national authorities they can work together, because in some public authorities, SOCs are different from the national authorities. In others, the SOC is integrated and is part of the national authority that deals with cybersecurity, which is more easier to work. But also, let's consider the capacity building and the technology uplift for less resourced public authorities or other private companies like SMEs. Smaller SOCs, the newly established national level teams, or other industry players, let's say the energy sector or the healthcare sector, which do not benefit from many regional or even national CERTs. Those will benefit from all those shared tools, modular platforms, and the federation capabilities, thereby raising the overall resilience of the EU cyber ecosystem beyond the major players. But also, I think that ACSOC is actually driving innovation in SOC operations, because with those advanced tools like Berlen mentioned, the Lucy, Sofia evolutions, or other platforms, those are all part of the ACSOC roadmap, and the project may accelerate other and new operational capabilities like data sharing, AI-based anomaly detection, cross-SOC orchestration, which could become the mainstream rather than a niche as it is maybe in the present. But also, we were discussing about regulatory and new policies. We think that EU-wide cyber resilience strategies like the NIS2 or the critical infrastructure protection or digital sovereignty require operational ecosystems to back them. So then, in this case, ACSOC could help those bridge the gap between strategy, policy, and implementation operations, meaning and making Europe to become a better place to meet its policy ambitions. Because, as you might know, it takes lots of time from the policy discussions in Brussels about an EU legislative act until this act is actually creating effects in practice and also imposing some obligations for different stakeholders. But also long-term sustainability and ecosystem network effects. Once ACSOC frameworks and platforms are adopted, there is a huge potential for network effects. More SOCs could join, more data is shared, more collaborative analysis occur, leading to a reinforcing cycle of improved resilience. Therefore, I believe that ACSOC can act as a catalyst, transforming on how SOCs and national authorities across Europe interact, elevating the baseline of operations, and of course, ultimately contributing to a more secure digital Europe.
Great. Thank you very much. I need to thank you both. Thank you, Oronzo. Thank you, Sebastian, for this interesting discussion. I'm pretty sure that there are more to follow. Thank you both.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Anastasia, Efaristopouli.